Welcome to my camp. Now let me give you a quick turnaround, give you a quick look. Well, that's not going to work. Tied down too tight. Okay. This is just storage at the moment. And over on this side, I've got my cooking implement storage and my little stove and my charcoal brazier and my drinking water supply, and there's my water catch flow, also for washing dishes. And down here I have a project I've been working on this afternoon, but we'll get into that afterwards. I had promised to share this concept with you. Now, you all saw my Ranger stove. Last summer I took it out to the park with me, and then I showed you a few months ago that little stove that I won in the giveaway, the Firebox Nano. I told you there was a far better way to fuel it, and here's what I was talking about. These are dead branches that I took off of trees around camp here, quote-unquote dead standing. And now both of those stoves are really truly designed to use pellets, wood pellets. But what do you see in the bucket here? Kind of a version of wood pellets. And that's why I bought these loppers, pruners, whatever you want to call them. Even though I hate Fiskars, it was the only pair they had available that day. And this is the whole purpose for why I purchased them. And believe it or not, they can handle the job, just barely. Till you get into some of the thicker pieces of wood. And then it takes two hands, especially an old man like me with arthritis. Oh. But you know what? They get the job done. And instead of trying to do it with a knife, I'm doing it with these, and I get a more precise cut. And it works. And sitting here where I would have simply been bored to tears with nothing else to do, I spent the time cutting up this. And my little stoves will have fuel. Or I choose to use these in my charcoal brazier. But that's a bit large for this kind of fuel. I'll probably use bigger sticks like this in the brazier. But this is for like lighting up and boiling some coffee or something of that nature. Something I would use a small pot, and I need a 10-minute fire. That's what this is for. You see, living out here on a homeless vent, gas for my 533 is a luxury. And I would only use that like if I'm sitting in the truck and it's raining out. I can't get out and make a fire outside. Yeah, I got my tarp, but I'm talking about if it's blowing up a storm. As you can see, my bench, I showed you the bench with storage on top. I've actually got plastic down the back side of that, and then the brown and silver tarp above it. So if it does blow, mostly it'll stay dry. If necessary, I've got that second tarp underneath, second brown and silver tarp I can always put over the top of that storage stuff. The stuff over here, I think I got that up far enough so you can see it. This was a dead standing tree that was over behind where you're looking from. I knocked it down, I brought it over here, I whacked it into those short logs so I could stack them. Just because it was dead standing doesn't mean it was dry. It's rather punky, most of it. Now my plan is some of that punk is going to get charred for dried punk wood for ignition of fire with flint and steel and so on. But I haven't gotten that far with it yet because I want to let it dry out some more. Back to this project. like I say, the whole point is to create fuel in small bits that work good in a Ranger stove or in the Firebox Nano. And I've got stuff in here that goes all the way down to itty bitty twig size. It's a mix. Yes, there's some larger stuff on top, but as you can see, I got smaller stuff in here too. And that's the way I want it mixed. I'll probably dump this into a bigger bucket so I can mix it later, but for now I just want to get it cut. And I wasn't just doing this, because while I was doing this earlier and got that much of it cut, I'm also sitting here listening to an MP3 CD on my Panasonic MP3 player. Just CDs, and believe it or not, one 750 megabyte CD. Is it 750 or 704? Something like that. A little over 700 megabytes. It's what a CD will hold. Excuse me. These are DVDs, not CDs. These are 4 gigabytes, I think it is, on a DVD. The point being is that one of these discs holds, oh my God, 8 or 10 hours of an audio book. And what I'm currently listening to is an audio book called, it's one of the Preacher series, Preacher 9 or 10. And in this case, he's in Philadelphia, and he's chasing after the man who killed the only woman who would ever have been considered Preacher's woman. No, he's not a man of the cloth. He picked up the name Preacher. This story takes place in the late 1700s, early 1800s, in thereabouts. I don't recall the exact years. Preacher himself, according to the story, took part in the Battle of New Orleans, and as a teenager. And in this story, 9 or 10, whatever it is, he's in his late 30s. So you do the math, that'll give you the time frame, the exact years. I don't happen to have the date of the Battle of New Orleans just off the top of my head. But he got the nickname Preacher because after he had left the military and he was living in the Shining Mountains, and for those of you who don't speak Mountain Man, when we refer to the Shining Mountains, we're talking about the Rockies, because from a distance, sunlight shining off the snow is shining. Well, he's living in the Rockies, plying his trade as a trapper. And he got captured by a local tribe who tied him to a pole of a tree whilst they decided his fate. And when they decide the fate of prisoners, the fate is always the same: death. The only question was how and when. Knowing this fact, and knowing that the Native Americans of the time were so superstitious they would not kill a crazy person, Artur, as he was known, began preaching a sermon, as he had seen a street preacher do before he left the east to go out west to see the creature. What did he mean by see the creature? Well, this would have meant anything and everything, including the great hairy bison and so on. So he's standing there, and for 18 hours he preaches anything and everything he can think of, having heard from the Bible. And some stuff that wasn't even in the Bible. But he spoke as a true stump preacher would have. At which time the Indians thought he was truly crazy, and they cut him loose and sent him on his way, giving him a knife, a bow, and some arrows. and a container to carry water in. I believe it was a gourd, if I remember correctly. It's been a long time since I listened to the books, and it just happenstance that I grabbed the one I did today. Now, if this is a book review that you'd be interested in listening to, as I say, it's an audio book. And now what I have is simply a copy that I ripped off of the original CDs that were loaned to me several years ago. But if you put into the Google search, the First-Mountain-Man, because that's the name of the series that Preacher is in, is the First-Mountain-Man, I believe you will find the books in question. Johnstone, I think, is the name of the author. And it's, what was the name of the publishing house that put these audio books out? I don't recall. I will try and find it and notate it down below in the show more box. Let's put it this way. Their theme, their slogan for the company is a movie in your mind. And trust me, it is one of the best audiobook production companies I've ever had the good fortune of listening to CDs from. I highly recommend it. They have several audiobook series that I highly recommend. The First-Mountain-Man, The Last-Mountain-Man, the Eagle series, which are several books, Eyes of Eagles, Talons of Eagles, Screams of Eagles, so on. The Eagle series. These three are all interconnected because in the Eagle series, you have a fellow who moves out west and starts a family and colonizes an entire region of Colorado. And he was pals with Preacher, because Preacher helped him get started. And this character in question in the Eagle series took part in another war. Battle of 1812, something like that. Down in the Texas region. But again, it's been several years since I listened to the series, so I'm just drawing from memory. Another series that they put out was Earthblood. Earthblood 1, 2, and 3. I don't think it's gone any... As of the last time I looked, it hadn't gone any further than 3. Also a good audiobook series, but it's not Old West. That's modern futuristic. Astronauts returning to Earth find the Earth covered in a red blight, and everything has died off. And when they land, there's nobody at the place out west where they land their craft, which they end up crashing more than landing. And well, all but one survived the landing. They're in a world of hurt now that they are on the ground. All great books. So that's what I've got from the moment from Camp Smithy. Peace out.
By the way, don't forget to